Hey, 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 good evening. It says I am live. Let me check on my phone just to confirm. How are you doing? Say hi when you come on. Let me know that you can hear me and you can see me okay. So I think, okay. I think I am live and someone is here. Hi John, how are you? Good to have you on. You are on time indeed. You are bang on the money. You are bang on time. I hope you've had a good week. I hope you're doing well. Let me keep this here. Okay, so I can keep an eye on it. No, it's good to have you on. Wow, at the end of this month, it's like okay, let's have a new month. Let's have another chance at having another go, because my goodness, what a month it has been. How did it cut me off there? Right, hold on a moment. Let me go back to my monitoring screen because I was monitoring it. I don't know how it took me out. Yeah, that's definitely how I feel. How are you guys feeling when you do come on? I want to hear. Good to see you too. Good to see you too, John. Okay, so I have a few topics that I want to touch on, the things that have stood out to me in the month of August. As we all know, most of the time there's not a lot of great stuff happening, but we'll just sort of touch on them and use this as a chance to try and make sense of what's been happening. There's that thing where when you talk things through, you are reinforcing it for yourself and making it make sense. So I think that's part of what's going to be happening here. So let's start with the main one. Let's just jump in. It's top of my list, the IICSA hearings, which they had a second batch of hearings that finished, I think, on the 14th of August. So I've been taking a look, right, into this body, who they are, and it's kind of been messy. So they've only been around for about 6 years. So they were only set up in 2014. So IICSA, IICSA, Independent Inquiry Child Essay. I'm not going to say the last two, you know what I mean. So they were only set up here in 2014. And so they've only been around 6 years, and they were set up based off of some guy, Jamie Savile, who was a notorious person here with what he did with kids. He was an entertainer, he was a public figure, he had access to children, he was trusted, and he completely took advantage of that. And that's what led to the body being set up. And in just those 6 years, it's had a lot of changes to the leadership. Apparently, it's so hard. Oh yeah. See if you can come back in, John. Yeah. So it's been so hard to find chairs who would be genuinely independent. And this is what you have when you have a system where the leadership, the important roles, are circling among the same group of people. People are just getting their friends, their family friends. So it's been hard to find people who are genuinely going to be independent to take this on. So they would appoint a chair, and then they'll realize that that chair is friends with the judge who handled some of the cases involved with that body and things like that. So it's been real messy for them. Eventually, they had to get a person from New Zealand to ensure that they would have someone who was truly not connected to that very small group of people who it turns out were involved or had the high positions here in the UK. The New Zealand person ended up having to leave as well. That was, let me see, that was fairly recent as well. So she left in 2016. So within 2 years, they've gone through 3 people, and now they're on to the 4th person. So hopefully she stays, a lady called Alexis J. So with that sort of background, it kind of makes sense, the debrief, I guess, that I heard when the John Cedars team interviewed those people who had been on and sort of talk through how it went and how they felt it went. A lot of the feedback I was hearing was that there wasn't a lot of challenging what was being said. There wasn't a lot of counter questioning, which Angus Stewart, the guy who did the Australian Royal Commission thing, did really well. And it kind of all makes sense, because to know what to ask for, you would have needed to research things. And so the general feeling I got was that it was a bit rushed. There wasn't perhaps the same level of background and detail that could have helped to target the questions, to pull apart the hypocrisy with this religion, which we know that there is a lot of that. And so in a way, it's a little bit deflating that's been the case. There is still the Truth Project, where if you're someone that has been impacted, you can add your story and send it to them so it can be part of their investigation. So at least there is still that. Let me see if I can pull up a link to that actually while I'm here, and put a link to, let me see, the Truth Project, if you wanted to share your experience. So let's copy that and pop that in here. Yeah. Okay. So I think I've put that in the comments if you want to go back and check that. Okay, so that was it for IICSA. That's kind of done now. So I think it's a case of waiting to get the report back on that one. The positive thing, though, that I did hear for some of the survivors, as I like to call them, who spoke at the hearing, just being able to share their story was beneficial for them, and it gave some, I don't want to say relief, but like it was nice to be heard. It was nice to, I guess, confront them in some way and let them hear this is what your policies have enabled, have done, and there's that. That was heavy, but unfortunately it doesn't get much better straight away. Oh my goodness, what's happening? And the next thing that sort of impacted me heavily this month, this was just last week actually, here in the UK, a case of a lady, Mercy Baguma, who found herself in a position that I was in, what are we on, 6 years ago, where she's having difficulty with her visa. And of course, I don't know the details of what happened in that particular case, but essentially she ended up in a position where her residence permit wasn't renewed, and so she'd lost her right to work. And when that happens here, obviously you can't work. You also don't get access to the usual social security type resources that you can have. Pardon me. And so if you don't have family around and you don't have friends that can support you, that can be a real life sentence. And it's so familiar. She has a 1-year-old. When that was happening to me 6 years ago, my son was 1 as well. And that really hit me so hard. And it's just frustrating that in a society like this, where one of the wealthiest countries in the world, there are people who can literally be left without. And she ended up passing away next to her 1-year-old, who was there, and the people had to gain access to the property, and there her 1-year-old was, who was now being put into the care of his dad. He was not with the mom anymore, but it was just a lot of familiarity, and that was really hard to swallow. I don't know how much of that I've shared here before. That was probably one of the hardest, if not the hardest time in my adult life, because that went on for me for 2 years of not being able to work, needing to fight with the Home Office, which is the UK visa people, and depend on friends. That was rough. That was tough. So yeah, that really kind of got me this week, this month. Is, it's not a highlight, but certainly something that made me stop and think, you know, as I'm sure everyone's had some hard time or the other. Okay, moving away from that, another thing that I spoke about in the month of August was recession. And, you know, as ex-witnesses, money is something that we have a complicated relationship with, right? I think I have a video about that. So jobs being lost and things like that, but it was just the way it was said. Okay, we're now in a double deep recession and how we're going to come off that. And I spoke about it in my capacity as a budget coach, which is what I do. On the side, sort of coach people with money management, how to get their money working for them, but also thinking about people who perhaps had the upbringing that we did and don't really have a backup plan, and how this would be a difficult time potentially. I mean, there is the thing though, you know, in most cases, witnesses work for themselves. So I don't know if that might be of benefit here, but yeah, that was something else that really stood out to me. Okay, this is happening in August. This is what's going on. Not a lot of witness topics today because the point is to share the things that have stood out to me in the month. You know, I want to hear from you as well once I run through it, what's been happening for you. And the last couple of things are about protests, you know, the protests that are happening everywhere. So, of course, the US, hi guys, you are definitely leading the way. You know, I mean, there have been protests in other parts, but in terms of sort of being consistent and ongoing. So there's been more, you know, especially following the recent shooting that, you know, happened again, the Jacob Blake guy, which I'm not here to go into the details of, you know, all of it, but that has happened. People are upset. And so it's causing some more. And I think I was reading today, of course, the additional shootings by civilians that have happened as a result of that as well. And it's a real sorry state. And I think about you guys because I think most of the people who watch me are based in the US. And so I have just stayed glued to everything that's been happening. And it sounds difficult. I don't know. Someone tell me, is it like it is in the news? Are we like just seeing the stuff that's bad and there's a lot of good bits happening? Or is it really as bad as it looks? Because it looks bad, but I know that sometimes from the outside, you don't really see the full picture. When banner. Next time I'll try a banner. I'll try a banner next time. I need to play around with this thing a bit. Yeah, so someone please let me know if it's like we see here, if it's really that bad. Yeah. Okay. So Jane's saying we don't know the details, period. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, so it's like when we were in the thick of our COVID situation, you know, people from outside were ringing me and saying, "Oh, the UK looks really bad," but you know, actually in my sort of day to day, other than you know having to stay home and my son not being in school, I was fortunate to still have an income coming in, and so it wasn't as much as they worried. So it's good to hear. There's many good things. Fantastic. That is good to know. The shortage of them on my list. So I'll be looking forward to hearing those. Yeah, the NBA strike as well for people who follow sports. But that was something that I saw as well. But I think that's now leading to there being more spaces to vote. So is it the Staples Center that's been opened up as a voting center as well, which I think that's a good thing. And it's returned to Nigeria as well. So there was a protest as well in Nigeria on the 5th of August, which I don't think I've seen one before, sort of protesting the government as well. So the thing's really taking off everywhere. And it looks like they're making it a monthly thing, sort of 5th of every month to sort of protest. And just based on on what I know, they definitely have good reason to make some changes in terms of the leadership and what is happening there. Okay, let me sip something. Okay, so that was the things that I had on my list, the things that have made me stop and okay, this has happened, and just giving me things to think about. Schools opening back up, that is the plan for September. So the plan is to have the kids back by the 8th of September. And there is still a lot of changes in terms of the guidelines. Should they be wearing masks? Are they not? Are the teachers going to be? Are they not? How they're going to manage classes? Are they going to split them in two? And so there's still a lot of things to figure out. But they are going back, which, as long as the teachers are safe, I think that it will do the kids good to be back in school, as long as they have a way of actually managing it. I think our numbers have gone right down. I don't know whether that's due to the amount of testing or it's genuinely. Sometimes I'm not sure what's happening. Yeah, so, but that's something that's happening. So back to school. Yes, there were protests in Nigeria. I think they were mostly led by some guy who literally the government imprisoned him last year for actually speaking out. So it's something quite sinister going on. There is a problem. I think I've mentioned this before. We have the same group of people that have been in charge since 1960. The same people are just transferring presidencies among themselves and giving positions to their friends. And unfortunately, it just seems to be a case of enriching themselves. And hopefully people are getting frustrated enough to speak up and make things change. So they have another protest. I think I've seen 5th of September as well. So anything that can bring about change is going to be great. School, yes. So when are kids going back in the US? I know that there's been pushback in some areas. Is that set? Is each state sort of doing their own thing? I mean, mind you, kids have been back in school in countries like China, right? So they've been back. I don't think I'm hearing there's been some sort of massive second wave, but I guess that will be down to how it's managed, having the facilities in place to actually do that. And like you said there, John, that is we're going to have to learn new ways of doing it, and actually having the resources available to different people. I mean, just thinking back to between March and now, not every kid has had access to a computer to actually carry on the work that needs to happen. So they are going to be going back. Not every child will be starting from the same place. So we're going to have to rethink it. I have, I am considering some personal tutoring, but that is such a privileged thing, to even consider. And I've got the one. Imagine someone with more kids. That is going to be challenging. How to make that work, how to manage it. So especially if the parents are now being expected to go back to work, which is why right now we have a resistance. People who don't want to go back to working from the office, they want to continue working from home because it's just better for family life. I remember when I used to go into an office to work, the commute was a very stressful time. when you finish work, you've come out to go home, you looked at the traffic, you're not going to be at your daycare center or your child's nursery when it's time to close, and you realize that you are on your last warning because you've been late so many times and your child's about to lose their place. It's really stressful. So parents are not wanting to go back, especially if school is, yes, they're going back, but I've read that, if a child comes down with a case, everybody's going to have to isolate for 2 weeks. What are the parents meant to do? They can't just take time off work every 2 weeks. So yes, it's going to be complicated. I was talking with a friend, is it this week, that maybe one of the things that's going to come out of this, hopefully we're going to come out as more resilient people, more resourceful. It would be nice if we came out as well more compassionate, more relating to each other better. I don't know if I'm seeing that happen, but hopefully more compassionate people. Yeah, that would be something good. That would be something good. So what has been happening on your end? What's new? What are you looking forward to for September? I'm looking forward to a bit more of a structure, sort of going back to starting work for the day at a normal time, which will mean finishing at a normal time as well. So I've been starting later and finishing later, and it just, so I'm looking forward to that kind of structure. I'm looking forward to going back to some of those activities that it's just good for the soul, that make you just forget about things and just focus on that, karate, dancing, things like that, being able to restart those things and have a sense of, I don't want to say normalcy because what's that, but just looking forward to that. I know that things are going to be, I guess this is the right word, complicated, perhaps for the rest of the year. But yes, however much we can get of that would be great. What else? So we have a bank holiday tomorrow. So it's a longer weekend for us. I have some comments that I need to respond to. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. Hopefully tomorrow. I always appreciate seeing them. I don't always comment back immediately, but I try to respond to all of them. So I'm going to be doing that. And just getting ready for the week ahead, and going back to work on Tuesday and see what's happened over the weekend. Okay, I don't think I had anything else on my list. I think I shared on the last video, I think the last topic was what attracts people to groups like the Witnesses. I thought the response to that has been quite interesting. Hearing what people think as well. And as I think of things like that, I will make videos on them. Then let's see if there's anything else you really want me to talk about. I think I've had a suggestion or two from some of the commenters, so I'll go ahead and make videos on those. And and there was the one about an update on where I'm at right now with the leaving and how I feel about things, and generally the sense of, we're going ahead, we're going in the right direction. So that was it. It can be a short one today because, as usual, being as it's the last Sunday of the month, I have a budget workshop before this. And before that, I'm like trying to get the child to bed. So dinner is always late. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. If you think of anything, comment it below. I want to hear it. Subscribe if you haven't. And this felt really chilled out and just sharing. And hopefully I've become more and more open as I branch out into other topics as well. Yes. I mean, there is that element of hope, right? That there is enough of us. There is a critical enough mass of people that has sensibilities to not have things completely spiral. And even if it does, as long as there is life, there is always a way to turn things around. It's probably not going to be pretty. And I think ultimately the change that I think most people are pushing for is a good thing. The in general striving for things to be better. And so just it's about holding on tight until we get there and get in there. No, but yeah, thank you. Thanks, John. It's great to have you here. It's felt like a one-on-one chat. Everyone else sort of catch up later. Let's see what comes off the IICSA hearings when that report comes out. All of these protests, where it ends, and let's just get through 2020 and go on to the other side of a new year, which we'll see what it brings. All right. Have a lovely week ahead. Look after yourself. Have a great September. We are coming up to the end of the year. Feels like it's close now. When you start counting in the September, October, it feels like it's coming to the end. So have a good September. We're gonna catch up again, see how we're doing, and I'll speak to you soon. Take care. Bye.